Do you want to know how to go from living your life on autopilot to really feeling alive? Like being on autopilot, it's a thing that a lot of people fall into. Parents, entrepreneurs, people are working, 9 to 5 in those corporate, roles that they may have. Like we fall into these autopilot routines, but like being on autopilot may feel like things are getting done. It may protect us, but like it's actually one of the biggest productivity myths of our time. Because like, are you living your life on autopilot? Like, which means basically that you're physically present, but maybe emotionally checked out in a lot of ways. If you've wondered like, gosh, where are my days going? Or felt like you're stuck in some sort of a fog, or you realize you're managing responsibilities instead of actually living the life you want, then this video is for you. I mean, as a parent, an entrepreneur, or someone who's working 9 to 5, like we all need to be able to take in these concepts and learn how we can upgrade ourselves, because the world needs us to step into who we are. You're the only person with the exact combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences that you have. So you're the only person who can make the impact that you're born to make. And so I want to make sure that we're not in autopilot so that we can each go out and make that impact, and live a way more fulfilled life. Now, I know I've been there before in this, like that fog of autopilot. I used to think like actually just going through the motions was just part of being being responsible. Responsible adults, that's what we do. Like we wake up and we handle our responsibilities. I've got my check boxes I check off, everything happening that way. And then we just like rinse and repeat it. But what I learned the hard way, and I'm hoping you can not have to learn it as hard as I did, is that autopilot, it doesn't keep us safe. It keeps us small. It protects you from failure, sure, but like it also keeps you from actually living. And for years, I was physically there for my family, my spouse, my work, but I was emotionally checked out. I mean, I was doing all the right things while quietly wondering like where my days were going. And honestly, my life was disappearing. I didn't feel like me. And I'll tell you a bit more about what that looks like here in a moment, but I totally forgot to say welcome to the Giver Method channel. If you're new here, my name's Jake. So glad you're able to join me. If you're back for another video, welcome back. Glad to see you again. Now let me ask a couple questions that might ground this for you. Like, have you caught yourself moving through your day in that autopilot where you're doing the work, you're showing up in the routines, you're handling all the obligations, but you're not actually living it? Life feels like it's happening to you instead of being lived by you. Maybe you're stuck in that fog where everything just blends together and you look back wondering like, man, where did the week go? Or where did I go? If any of that feels familiar, then this is going to be the right video for you. And let me tell you this, I hope you hear it clearly, like there's nothing wrong with you. It's not a laziness, it's not a ungratefulness, it's not a failure. And you're definitely not the only one feeling that. So many people are caught in that. Now, it's often referred to as that unconscious living, is what the experts will say it is. And it's that basically that place where you're doing fine. Everything on the outside, like it looks like everything's great, but on the inside, you're disconnected. You're functionally like competent, like you're moving through those things, but emotionally you're absent from the stuff that's going to matter the most to you. Once again, not about being ungrateful or undisciplined. This is just what happens when chronic stress rewires your brain, when you've been in these seasons of life where you're a bit more busy. And there's tons of data and neuroscience out there that shows that stress literally strengthens the part of your brains that runs on autopilot. And shrinks the parts that are consciously making choices. Basically, like your autopilot isn't a character flaw, it's your brain trying to protect you in this moment of life where you're at right now. I want to help you move past that, break past that. Now, in case you weren't aware, I said that my name is Jake, but let me formally introduce myself. My name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder. I'm the author of this book. It's called The GIVER Method. Came out last November. It's available on Amazon. Right now, you can get it for as little as $2 on Amazon. So the link is in the description, or you can pause the video right now, go to Amazon and look up The GIVER Method by Jake Talbert, of course. But everything we're going to cover today is grounded in principles from this book. I highly recommend you get yourself a copy. This is one of the books that will change your life. You could be living a totally different life in the next, few days, few months. Like, by the end of the year, you're living a totally different life and version of yourself, showing up in the ways that you want, living, more fulfilled and more joy and delight in your life, making an impact to those who matter the most to you, using your gifts, your superpowers, creating more impact in everything. So, like I said, go get yourself a copy. You can pause the video right now and go get it, or use the link down below and go get it. Like I said, it's available right now for as little as $2. So I highly recommend you get yourself a copy. Now, everyone loves it, and it's got so many 5-star reviews. It became an Amazon bestseller because it resonates with so many people. I use my story as a part of it, and I ground it in action items and exercises that I know will align to your lifestyle. As a parent, an entrepreneur, like I've got 3 kids, I've run a business, and I've been in that corporate sea of cubicles. And so, like, this is a big thing here that it actually will change your life without having to burn everything down, move to the woods to go find yourself. Now, I know for one of the stories that I tell a lot here, and it's that moment that I realized, like, when it hit me that I was in this autopilot fog. Like, and I call it, like, I was in that sea of cubicles. If you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about. And I heard some people talking in the distance, and like it wasn't what they said, but it hit me. I realized like I didn't belong here, and I was drowning. I was drowning in the sea of cubicles, like feeling like just the shadow of the husband and father that I wanted to be. And it really hit me hard. I mean, it was a rock bottom moment for me because but it led to some of the most amazing breakthroughs, because I realized I wasn't just sleepwalking through my job. I was actually sleepwalking through my marriage, my role as a father, and everything that actually mattered to me. And something that changed everything for me is living with intention doesn't require more time or energy. It lives right where you are right now. Presence is always available, even in the middle of any busy schedule that you have, any sort of packed calendar. And when you learn how to step out of autopilot, even in small ways, you're going to realize that the ordinary moments, the family dinners, the daily routines, the conversations at work will feel so much more rich and deep and meaningful to you. So we're going to cover 5 areas that I want to focus on that are helping parents, entrepreneurs, and employees just like you stop sleepwalking through life and start engaging fully. And here's the exciting part. When you wake up from autopilot, your natural gifts and strengths come alive again. You start showing up as the person you're meant to be in your family, in your work, and in your own story. Like I said, if you want to dive deeper, grab a copy of the GIVER method on Amazon. It links down in the description. It's packed full of practical exercises to help you bring your gifts and superpowers with more attention and presence into your life that you already have. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, Jake, hey, I've been stuck in that kind of autopilot for way too long. I need help. I need someone to walk me through this to get me out of it. Then check out the one-on-one coaching positions that we have. You could check out the details in the link below. Watch the video. If it makes sense for you to book a call, book a call. That's where we're going to work side by side with you to design the practices that actually fit your life. Now, if you run a team, host a podcast, an event, a community, whatever, where this message would serve them, let's connect. Let's talk about how we could bring it to them to that stage or podcast or whatever that may be. There's a link down below for that. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. I would hate for you to miss out on any of the future videos we have. Like the video and comment your thoughts along the way. I read all of them. I love to hear which parts of this are landing the most for you. Now with that, let's not waste any more time. Dive deep into these 5 core areas that I want you to focus on, okay? So the first one is how to notice when you're physically here but mentally checked out. Okay, so I call this strategy it's the catch yourself drifting, or there's this it's your autopilot awareness system. It's that radar of uh-oh, you're going into autopilot. Because if we're real, the first step of getting off of it is you have to realize that you're on it in the first place. And it doesn't mean beating yourself up or trying to fix everything overnight. I'm talking about building the ability to just notice those moments when you're physically there, but your mind's already 2 steps ahead or 10 steps behind. Now, this piece of this video might be the part that you have to share with people that you know and say, hey, this is you, in the most kind way possible. Because they don't realize that they're in autopilot so many times. They don't always have what I had, that wake-up call of oh my gosh, this is not what I want to do. This is not where I want to be. There tons of data out there, and research shows that people spend almost half of their waking hours thinking about something other than what they're actually doing. Half of their waking hours. That's only living Monday through Wednesday. That's it. You're zoning out the rest of the time. No wonder life feels like you're slipping away in a blur and things just feel like they're going by so fast. The good news is, though, this drifting isn't permanent. The second you notice it's happening, you've already started pulling yourself back to awareness, and that's the first domino that makes everything else we're going to talk about possible. So let's talk about the simple ways to practice catching yourself in the drift, okay? Number 1 is present moment check-ins, where you just basically you're going to set some alarms on your phone that go off during the day. And when one goes off, pause and ask, where's my attention right now? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how present am I? And don't try to force anything, just notice what's happening around you. In the evening, do a life review. Before bed, take a few minutes and jot down a few things, like the moment where you felt alive and engaged, the moment where you felt like you were on autopilot or whatever, the moment where you were somewhere in between. Once again, you're not trying to be perfect scorecard or judge yourself there. You're just mapping out the patterns. Sometimes it helps to do a traffic light test where throughout the day you check in okay, green means I'm being present, yellow means I'm scattered, red means I'm totally gone. And if you're in yellow or red, don't judge it, just acknowledge it and then act take one step towards what you need to do to get more present. Sometimes that requires creating presence anchors, is what I refer to them a lot in other videos, where you pick one thing you already do every single day, like brushing your teeth, drinking your morning coffee, walking to your car, and you commit to doing it with your full attention. You feel the mug in your hand, you taste the coffee, you notice the air as you walk, whatever that is. Your mind, it's going to want to wander, and of course it will, that's just, it's who we are, but gently pull it back. The repetition of just building that in, it gets you to start to notice the things around you. Now the other thing is you can spot triggers that that are pulling you into that autopilot mode. Pay attention to when you drift the most. For a lot of us, it's when we're stressed or we're scrolling or during those transitions between tasks. Like knowing these autopilot triggers makes it easier to catch them next time. And this works because like the awareness itself like is gosh, so much it can do for you. The moment you notice, your brain begins to rewire it for attention. The fact that like tons of data out there and research shows that, just doing that for a few weeks of these kind of practices measure like so much more improved focus and even like emotional like regulation. Now you're never going to be 100% present all the time, but like it's because that's not realistic. But like if you tried to, even that'd probably be pretty exhausting. The goal, once again, it's not perfection. The goal is to simply recognize like that you do have a choice in those moments more than you realize. And every time you choose presence, you're reclaiming part of like your life one step at a time. Now that leads us into all the other principles. So that one's the most important because we have to ground it in like where you are right now. So the second one is like how to stop reacting on autopilot and start responding with intention. So think about it like it's the pause that's going to change everything. That's what I call this strategy. How many times a day do you find yourself like reacting before you've even had a choice to think, like a chance to think through all the options? Kid interrupts you and like you snap. Email comes in and you drop everything to reply. Someone asks you how you're doing and you just go to that autopilot like, gosh, I'm fine, I'm busy. Even when that's not the truth. That's autopilot in action. You're not choosing to react that way. But here's the truth. Like here's the thing that will shift for you. Between every trigger and every reaction, there is a very tiny gap. And in that gap lives your power of choice. And the more that you like learn to use it, the more you move from being a passenger in your own life to being the driver of your own life. And so here's the thing that you do to like start really, diving into that gap and spreading it out more. So like I said, the power of this pause, when stress, interruption, whatever trigger is coming on, don't push past it. Insert a pause. Like take one slow breath. Ask like, how do I want to show up right now? That one breath could flip your default reaction to intentional response, like with your child, with your spouse, with your coworkers, your friends. Like it's amazing how much more you show up. The other thing you could do is like, have choice point check-ins. Like look for the natural transitions in your day when you're opening the door, you're sitting down, you're picking up your phone. Like those are choice points. So instead of sliding into the next autopilot, pause and reset. Even for a few seconds, that awareness changes the whole trajectory of it for you. Now, if you want, you could also do values-based decision-making, because this is where it really does get powerful. It's like, well, what are my top 3 values or whatever? And pause, in those moments, like, what do my values choose to do right now? If connection is what I want to have, like is a value, maybe it's putting out the phone and ask my kid a question. If creativity matters, it's going to be, bringing fresh energy to a routine instead of just checking out. Like those are how you anchor everyday choices into what matters the most to you. Now, you can also like have response training, for small stuff. Like don't wait for the big high stakes moments to try things out. Like start with simple ones. When someone asks, how are you? Don't just default to fine. Pause and answer honestly. When you reach for your phone out of habit, pause and ask like, hey, do I really need this? Or am I just avoiding being present? And these small things strengthen your awareness muscle so that when the big stuff hits, you're more present in those times. There's also environmental anchors. Like you could use your surroundings to remind you, like, a doorknob, a steering wheel, your computer screen. Like treat them like built-in reset buttons. Every time you touch them, it's like a cue of like, hey, who do I want to show up as right now? And then same thing with transitions. Like this is a big one, transition rituals that I love. Before you go from like work mode to parent mode, pause for 3 deep breaths. Decide how you want to walk into that room. How do you want to show up to your spouse, to your kids? Before you go into that team meeting, before you go into that hard conversation, how do I want to show up? What do I want the outcome to be? These little rituals shift the energy for you. Like most of our unconscious living that happens in between those moments, like it's those moments in between those transitions, right? That's when our brain loves to just jump straight to the next thing without even realizing it. But when you slow down, just enough to notice those choice points, like you reclaim that control. So remember this, like pause, like that pause, it's not wasted time. It's where so much power in presence lives. And that takes us to the third thing, how you work with your natural rhythms rather than trying to forcing fake productivity. So think of like, how do I ride the real energy and I don't just fight the energy that's hitting me? I mean, how many of you have ever like sat at your desk, completely foggy, trying to force yourself to be productive at that point? Like it feels like you're pushing that boulder uphill, like with no end in sight. I mean, I've been there too. Like, and here's the thing. Most of us like have been taught to ignore the natural energy rhythms and just like, we're just going to grind harder. But that grind is exactly what keeps you stuck in autopilot. Living with intention isn't about squeezing more out of every hour. It's about working with your authentic energy instead of against it. Because when you fight your natural rhythms, like you're burning fuel that you actually need to be more present. But like when you line up your life with like where your flow and your real energy is, like present stops feeling like work and it feels so natural. So think about it this way, like the couple things you can do. The first thing, like I love doing these like daily energy audits where, hey, for the next couple weeks, just notice, like rate your energy every few hours. On a scale of 1 to 10, how sharp do you feel, creative, alive? And then like, when do you feel foggy, drained, or checked out? Don't judge it, just notice, like you're mapping out these personal rhythms, and then you build like your energy investment map. Like not all activities are created equal. Some are gonna fill your tank, some are gonna drain it, even like if you're good at them. And so pay attention, which tasks, relationships, conversations light you up, which ones leave you completely wiped out, and start making that simple list. The patterns are gonna surprise you. Now, you also have to think about peak times of energy, and you have to protect those. Now, this one's huge because like once you know when you're at your best, like guard that time with everything you've got. If creativity is alive in the morning, like I love doing these videos early in the morning before people get here. It's currently 5 a.m. Like, well, great, that's when you're gonna do your creativity. Don't waste it on emails, Use your energy for what actually matters. If you come alive at night, then that's where you're gonna have your deep conversations. You're gonna carve out space for those like after dinner instead of numbing out on a TV. Schedule real restoration. You have to get rest. I have so many videos on this concept that you could go check out where we talk about like self-care. Scrolling like your phone for 30 minutes does not restore you. That's doom scrolling, binging Netflix, that does not do it. Like I'm talking about stuff that actually recharges you. Nature, music, movement, deep talks with people who get you, creative play, like whatever. Build those into your week as non-negotiable meetings because they are. What are your intentional pockets? Now, I get it. Like there are a lot of busy people when they get stuck, they're like, Jake, I don't have hours to reset. Well, good news, you don't need hours to reset. If you have 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes between meetings, use it intentionally. Step outside, stretch, use like journal one line, pray, breathe. Even tiny windows like that, like used with intention, create massive shifts for you in your life. Set boundaries around these energy points, like as much as possible. Don't do draining tasks. Like how do I push away things that are draining if I can? And then add joy integration points throughout the day. Like don't just save it for joy for like the weekends or the vacation. Sprinkle it into your week. Like if learning excites you, then gosh, queue up a podcast on your commute. If connection lights you up, then make calls like while you're folding laundry or whatever. Like if creativity makes you come alive, bring that to your work project. Build what energizes you, like right into what you're already doing. Everything, like gosh, when you're just constantly pushing against these natural rhythms, like you're draining the energy you need to be present. But when you align them, presence is easier. You just show up with more power. You stop fighting, you start like really being able to flow. So hear me, like honoring this energy isn't a weakness, like it's wisdom. It's not about like doing less, it's actually about doing life in a way that feels alive instead of exhausting. That takes us into our fourth one. So how you bring real presence and authenticity into everyday life. Like, so make every moment count without adding more to your plate, right? Most of us we don't need more time for, connection or meaning. We just need to start showing up differently at the times that we already have, because if we're honest, it's way too easy to get stuck in the motions. You talk to your kids and you're really like just half listening. You check in with your spouse, but it's more of like a logistics than love. You grind through work conversations waiting for your turn to talk. Like, does that sound familiar? Like, so this autopilot engagement is what that kind of looks at, is like you're technically here, but you're really not there. And the shift happens when you mix two things, full attention and your real values. You bring your presence and authenticity to the same place. These ordinary moments feel so much more meaningful, not because you changed the situation, not because you created more time, but because you changed how you showed up. So here's how you make this supernatural, super doable. Get clear on what matters to you. Not what looks good on paper, not what you think you should matter. Like, think about your top, like what are those values that you have? Like the things you care about when nobody's watching, things like connection, growth, creativity, adventure, peace, like write them out in your own words. They become a filter for you. Give someone the gift of 100% of your presence. Pick one conversation each day where you're gonna put your phone down, you're gonna silence all the mental to-do lists, and you're gonna show up fully. You're gonna ask deeper questions. Instead of, how was your day? Like try well, what made you laugh today? It doesn't take more time, it just takes that intention. And then you can upgrade the questions you're asking. Like this is super simple, but really powerful. Swap the routine questions that you'd ask on autopilot with one that actually invite real connection. So like, instead of like, hey, is everything on track? Try like, hey, what's been one of the biggest challenges for you this week? With your spouse, maybe it's like, hey, you don't go with how was your day? You say like, hey, what's something that you're excited about right now? Once again, little upgrades that just take small talk into real talk. Let your values lead your choices. We talked about that. Like, what matters, like, what's going to honor my values the most? Like, dive deeper into those principles and those ideas. Find the why behind the routine. Before you dive into the next task, like, take a few seconds to connect the dots. Like, who does this serve? Why does it matter? Like, the most mundane things, like, they can take on new meaning when you see how, like, it ties back to your values. Say the things you're thinking about, put them out there. Like, make sure people are on the same page as you. Like, look at your kid in the eye, tell them that you love them, for who they are, not just for what they do. Like, tell your spouse that you appreciate how they handled something. Thank the coworker for what they did. Like, just get those things out there. Once again, presence, no phone zones, no screens, no whatever. Like, lock yourself out from those sort of things. And then just bring more of you into everyday life. If humor's your thing, let that be, let it out at the dinner table instead of bottling things up. Like, if encouragement is your gift, use it in your work conversations. Like, if curiosity fuels you, bring real questions into, like, the routine, like, interactions. Presence isn't about becoming anything new. It's just about letting who you are show up fully. When you're fully present, fully yourself, like, life stops feeling flat, relationships feel deeper, and your conversations feel real. Even boring stuff takes on a whole new meaning because, like, now you're connected. Tons of data out there show people who combine presence and value-aligned living, like, they're 47% higher in their relationship satisfaction and 34% like higher overall just life satisfaction. Once again, that's not fluff. That's proof that this type of stuff works. So don't wait for the perfect moment to be present. Start, like, in the moments you already have at dinner, the commute, bedtime, work meetings. Ordinary routines become extraordinary when you bring both your attention and your authenticity to the table. And then our fifth and final one, which is all about, how to turn everyday tasks into energy. Learning leaning on what you do best, which is based on, like, living your life using your gifts and superpowers. Like, autopilot drains you the fastest when you're constantly grinding through stuff that doesn't fit your wiring, your system, your gifts, your superpowers. But the moment that you bring those natural gifts into the mix, everything shifts because your gifts aren't just talents. Like, they bring energy to you. They're massive energy sources. And when you use them, you don't just, get things done. You feel more alive by doing them. So number one, like, spot your superpowers. Most of us dismiss these things way too easily. The G and GIVER method is all about finding your gifts and superpowers. So trust me, this is a big principle for me. We push these things off like, well, it's easy. Well, anyone can do this. But that's not the point. Like, the point is, like, what feels effortless to you is often the exact thing other people are struggling with. Maybe it's problem solving, maybe encouraging people, maybe organizing chaos or teaching or creative thinking. Like, don't brush those off. Those are your superpowers. Start your day with maybe a gift check where in the morning you ask yourself, like, how can I use these natural strengths today to create value for somebody? And that's it. Keep it simple. Maybe encourage a teammate. Maybe you bring order to family routine. Maybe solving that nagging problem that the only way you can. Like, whatever it is, write it down and at night check in to see if you did it. You're going to be amazed how much energy that creates for you. Now, the biggest thing is, like, stop waiting for the perfect conditions. You don't need to quit your job or wait for that dream project to use your gifts. Start right now where you are. Once again, you're the only person with your combination of gifts, superpowers, experiences. You're the only person who can make the impact that you can make right now. So there is no perfect time. Now is the perfect time. People are waiting for you. If you're good at connecting, bring that to your dinner table with your kids or your next team meeting. If you love teaching, share during a work huddle. If creativity lights you up, add fresh spin to your next routine thing that you do. You could go solve more problems with your strengths. The next time you hit a challenge, like, stop asking, like, man, how do I push through this? Ask, like, well, how could I approach this using my gifts? That shifts so many things for you because you're not forcing your way through your weaknesses. You're showing up with the things that flow natural to you. You pay attention to how that impact comes out. You leave these breadcrumbs. Notice when people naturally just come to you for certain things. Notice the things that light you up, that you lose track of time. Afterwards you feel energized instead of feeling drained. Like, that's proof your gifts are making a difference. You can amplify what's working. Once you see the pattern, lean into it. Volunteer for some projects with your strengths. Tell your boss, hey, like, here's where I shine and I could bring more to our team. Or as a parent, just intentionally bring your gifts into your family life. Whether it's humor, dinner, encouragement of homework, or organization, bring peace to the chaos or whatever. And then notice, like, how energies shift. This is so simple, but, like, truly, it's impactful. Compare how you feel when you're using your gifts versus when you're forcing your way through a task that doesn't fit you. The difference is, like, night and day. It's not by accident because that's how you're wired. You know, your gifts aren't just skills, they're fuel. They're designed to create energy when you use them. And when you align your daily life with them, you build motivation that doesn't depend on your natural like pressure or deadlines or caffeine. You know, so the shift happens when you stop asking like, you know, hey, how do I get through this day? And you start asking like, how can I bring more of my gifts and my superpowers into what I already do? You know, because when you do like routine things, they don't feel like chores. They start feeling like expressions of who you really are. Now, as we wrap this all up, here's what I want you to take away from today. Like, drifting through life on autopilot is something that so many of us experience. I've been there so many times. But it's not laziness, it's not a weakness. It's your brain's built-in survival system kicking in under stress. And the fog you're feeling, that numbness, like it's just evidence that you've been running on default settings for a long time. The good news is you're not stuck with it. Things we walk through today aren't just nice, mindful hacks or whatever. Like, it's about flipping the script on these things. You know, they're how you go from being the passenger in your own story to grabbing the wheel and actually driving your life with more intention. And the insight that changed everything is like, conscious living doesn't demand more hours in your day or being superhuman level energy of some kind. It's about just shifting your attention, you know, about choosing to engage with what's already happening right here, right now. And when you stop sleepwalking through your routines, start bringing more presence and authenticity, your natural gifts into the mix, everything will feel different. Ordinary conversations will carry so much more meaning. Routine tasks become energizing, not draining, and your life, like you're living right now, starts to feel a whole lot richer than you thought. That's the heartbeat of the Giver method. Like, waking up to your gifts, your values, and the relationship so you can actually experience life you're building, not just survive it. When you step out of autopilot, your intention, like, you're way more intentional. You don't just feel more alive, you become more alive. So if that hit home, that's where I said, grab a copy of the book. You know, the link's in the description, or you can go to the Pulp Amazon, look up the Giver Method by Jake Talbert. Like, tons of practical tools how to step out of autopilot and bring that life that energizes you. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, Jake, hey, I've been in that autopilot for a long time, I need some real help breaking through it, then check out the one-on-one coaching program that we have. There's a link down below where you can watch a video, see some more details. If it makes sense for us to jump on a call and discuss, we can. Now, I also love speaking to organizations, teams, communities, podcasts, stages, whatever events, you know, groups where this message can make a difference. So let's talk about how we could bring it to your world. And before you go, just make sure you hit subscribe, tap that bell so you don't miss out on future videos, like it, of course, and then comment like which of these things like stood out to you. I read every comment. You know, which of these things are you ready to try, or what autopilot pattern are you most excited to finally break free from? And then, like, let me leave this with you. Your life is happening right now, not someday, not when things settle down, not when everything's perfect. The real question is, like, are you going to be present for it? You know, stop sleepwalking through your day. Start discovering the aliveness that's waiting for you. Like, it's just been waiting for your attention all along. Start using your gifts and superpowers, because you are the only person who can make the impact that you can make right in this moment to the people closest to you. And so with that, I'll just tell you to have a great rest of your day. Check out the other videos on the channel for more details, more things that could help you. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, or at thegivermethod.com. And hopefully we'll catch you in our next video. Have a great rest of your day.